The silence in the house felt wrong. Not peaceful, not quiet, just heavy. The kind that settles in your chest and makes it hard to breathe. The faint smell of bleach clung to the air, sharp and sour. I stepped into the living room and saw her, Lily, 9 years old, alone, scrubbing the floor like she'd committed some crime, her little hands red from the cleaner, her eyes blank. Meanwhile, my in-laws had taken Amanda to the family-friendly theme park, their real granddaughter. No one asked about Lily. No one even noticed she was missing. I didn't scream, didn't cry. I just stood there, holding it all in, because that's what I do. Keep things neat, keep things calm, keep things from falling apart. But the next morning, the phone started to ring, again and again, and I knew. Control was slipping. I'm Margaret Carter, 35. I work in risk management. I turn chaos into spreadsheets. People call me when their world's on fire. I show up, clipboard in hand, and sort it out. No panic, no tears, just facts. I used to live my life the same way. Tidy, predictable, no drama. It worked until it didn't. Lily is my daughter. Sweet, quiet. She builds tiny creatures out of Play-Doh and asks questions like, "Why aren't rainbows black and white?" Or, "Is Grandma Susan Carter really allergic to me?" She's the kind of kid who notices everything, even when no one notices her. Then there's David, my husband. Well, he was, 3 years in. He had a daughter too, Amanda, 11, sharp, guarded. If you're not her dad or holding ice cream, she's not interested. She lived with us full time. Her mom left for Texas before the ink dried on the divorce papers. When David and I got together, I believed in the whole blended family dream. That love could patch the cracks, that kids would adjust, that adults could build something new. I bought into it, all of it, and for a while, it worked. We had a tiny apartment. I worked, he worked. The girls went to school. They fought over markers. They made up. It wasn't perfect, but it was stable. And after the wreckage of my first marriage, stable was everything. Then David got laid off. Corporate restructuring. He started looking for work. I picked up extra hours. Money got tight. Really tight. Then his parents made their offer. Move in with them, just for a little while, to save money, to get back on our feet. And that's when things started to unravel. Not all at once, just thread by thread, until I came home early and found Lily on her knees, scrubbing the floor, alone, while Amanda laughed on roller coasters, while David said they didn't mean anything by it, while Susan Carter claimed allergies, while I kept everything together, until I couldn't. I knew something was off the moment I heard it, the kind of feeling in your gut that twists like you've walked into the wrong story. We'd moved into David's parents' house, nothing glamorous, just an old, creaky place in a quiet Illinois suburb, the kind of place where the front porch swing creaks in the wind, and the flag on the lawn waves proudly. And grandkids, well, they fit into 2 categories, theirs and the others. I told myself it was temporary, that I could keep everything together, but could I? It was supposed to be a sweet surprise, me coming home early from my business trip. 4 days in St. Louis, and I was done. I thought I'd walk in to find the girls, pizza boxes scattered, cartoons on, maybe a blanket fort. But when I opened the door, the silence hit me. Too quiet. Wrong quiet. I found Lily on her knees, scrubbing the living room floor. 9 years old. Alone. "Where is everyone?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "They went to the park. I'm grounded," she said. Just like that. Calm, like it was normal. But it wasn't normal. Not even close. I didn't scream. I didn't throw things. I didn't make a scene. I grabbed the important stuff, ours, and I left. I didn't even think twice. We went to a motel, ordered pizza. I let Lily eat an entire tub of ice cream while I just stayed close. Not a word from me. But that night my phone wouldn't stop ringing. David, over and over, texts, voicemails. He saw the note. He knew what I knew. "Margaret Carter, come on. You know how my mom is. She was just trying to teach them some discipline." Discipline? By abandoning a 9-year-old while everyone else went to have fun? I couldn't even answer. There was nothing to say. It was too clear. This wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate. And then the twist hit. This wasn't just neglect. It was a quiet campaign to erase my daughter, and I wasn't going to let it happen. Margaret Carter walked into the dim garage, her fingers brushing against the dusty boxes stacked against the wall. The air was thick with the smell of old motor oil and forgotten memories. She reached for a box labeled Lily Carter's Old Toys. Maybe if she could just find something from her daughter's childhood, it would bring back that spark of joy. But when the lid lifted, her heart stopped. No toys, no stuffed animals or plastic dolls, just a stack of unopened letters. Each one was addressed to Lily Carter, each one written by Amanda. The handwriting was shaky, raw with emotion. Margaret Carter's breath caught in her throat. Amanda had been reaching out. This wasn't just some family silence. This was a betrayal. Margaret Carter had failed to see it. The breakfast table's quiet wasn't just awkwardness. It was a painful, quiet exclusion. A message her daughter had been sending for months. And Margaret Carter, she had unknowingly played a part in it. The truth hit her in waves. All this time she had thought she was protecting Lily Carter, but the real betrayal wasn't from the outside. It was from within. Her own family had been pulling apart, one piece at a time. Margaret Carter had been too wrapped up in keeping it together to see how deep the wound went. What did this mean for her? For Lily Carter? How had she missed it? Margaret Carter's mind raced, her thoughts unraveling. She thought of how Amanda had been so guarded, always independent, so tough on the outside. But had it been that way all along? Every piece of their lives had been a careful balancing act. But somewhere along the way, the scales tipped. Amanda's bitterness, Lily Carter's silence, David's passive confusion. Margaret Carter had kept the peace, but at what cost? She had assumed the tension was just part of the blended family dynamic, that things would smooth out. But they hadn't. And now it was too late to fix it all. Why hadn't she seen this coming? Was it too late to salvage the pieces? How much of her daughter's heart had already been broken? Margaret Carter clenched her fists, feeling a mix of guilt and fury. She hadn't protected her family, and now all she could do was fight to get them back. But what if it was already too late? The garage felt colder now. The letters in her hands felt heavier than before. Margaret Carter's heart was a storm of questions, but one thing was certain. This wasn't just about family drama anymore. It was a battle for something much bigger, and Margaret Carter wasn't going to let her daughter be erased. The house smelled like old oak and rain, the kind that sneaks in through cracks and leaves a dampness in the air. David Carter's parents had hidden something beneath the surface, a second mortgage they thought no one caught. But it wasn't just the balance sheets that were hollow. They couldn't keep up. Their financial struggles painted a picture of worn-out credit, a half-hearted job at a hardware store, a tiny pension that barely covered essentials. Their credit was buried deep, buried like secrets they hoped no one would find. David Carter, no steady income, no clear way out, so who stepped in? Margaret Carter. Her credit score was the only thing reliable, her paycheck the only steady pulse in this sinking ship. She took on the mortgage, in her name. Not just a contribution, but a silent sacrifice. She told herself it was temporary, just until they got back on their feet. But in her heart, she knew it was more than that. It felt like paying rent to someone who insulted her daughter and then told her to just smile more. That unspoken bitterness crawled under her skin, yet she stayed quiet, hoping the storm would pass. Meanwhile, David Carter's mom launched her quiet campaign, passive, subtle, like a shadow in the corner. It started with small snubs, Lily Carter laughing less, drawing fewer pictures, hiding her art projects instead of sharing them. A fake stomachache before school, the cold silence when Margaret Carter asked about her daughter's drawings. Those little cracks, tiny, barely noticeable, grew into walls. And the candy? Gone. Cookies vanished, chocolate wiped out. Margaret Carter saw the message loud and clear. Some kids need sugar. Some kids get deprivation. Lily Carter was caught in the crossfire. Then Amanda's birthday rolled around. Smiles, balloons, cake. Lily Carter sat quietly in the corner, trying to hide her hurt. Margaret Carter stepped closer, whispering in her ear, "Are you okay?" Lily Carter's whisper was small, almost lost. Grandma said not to touch anything. Margaret Carter's heart clenched. She looked at David Carter, who sighed like the weight of it all was too much. "She's just strict," he mumbled. "She means well." But Margaret Carter could see through that. Behind every smile, every "she's tired," was a wound that couldn't be mended with just words. The space between them was widening, not just the cracks in the house, but in trust, in love, in their family. How long could they keep hiding what was breaking? And whose pain was next? Margaret Carter stayed silent, her fists clenched, feeling that storm inside. Whatever was coming, she'd have to face it. Alone, or with her family, she wasn't sure anymore. But she knew this. Surviving wasn't enough. She had to fight, to fix what was shattered, piece by piece. The hallway was quiet. Too quiet. Just the low hum of the fridge and the soft tick of the wall clock. Margaret Carter stood frozen, one hand on the doorknob. On the living room floor lay Lily's drawing, stick figures with no smiles, a house with no windows. Amanda's voice cut through the silence from the other room. "She doesn't belong here." Margaret didn't move. Her fingers trembled. The scent of rain drifted in through the cracked window. Outside, leaves rustled like whispers. Inside, everything felt still, except her heart. She knew what she had to do, but if she spoke now, would it break everything? She used to believe silence was strength, that holding it all together meant swallowing the pain. But now, her daughter was shrinking. Lily used to laugh at clouds and name squirrels in the park. Now, she barely spoke. Her teacher's email had been the first crack. Lily seems withdrawn, tired. She doesn't interact much. Margaret sat with her that night. Lily wouldn't talk at first. Then, in a voice so small it almost vanished. "Maybe I'm just not very good." Margaret blinked. "What do you mean?" "I mean, they try. But I mess everything up." "Who told you that?" "No one. You can just tell." Margaret held her close, told her she was amazing, that she was loved, that she hadn't done anything wrong. Then she locked herself in the bathroom and stared at the wall for 40 minutes, trying not to fall apart. After that, she started listening. Really listening. Amanda snapped, "You're not in charge here. We have rules." David Carter's mom whispered, "Just don't touch her stuff, sweetie. You don't want to upset everything again, do you?" It chipped away at her, slowly, quietly. Margaret worked late, paid the mortgage, took the hits, told herself it was temporary, that mothers don't walk away, that she could hold it together. But David Carter kept saying, "You're blowing this out of proportion." What part? The part where her daughter was degraded daily? "It's discipline, structure. My mom's always been like this." "And you?" she asked. He hesitated. "It's hard being stuck in the middle. Just try not to make this a big deal." Not a big deal. Her daughter's dignity. Not a big deal. Her paycheck funding a house full of contempt. Not a big deal. She almost believed him. Almost, until she came home early one day and saw Lily on her knees, scrubbing their living room floor alone. While the rest in the dimmest moments of her life, Margaret Carter stood frozen in her own house, clutching a crumpled letter that felt like a blade in her hand. The kitchen was silent. No clatter, no laughter. Outside, rain tapped softly against the window, blending with the distant hum of a TV. Her eyes fixed on the paper, trembling fingers barely holding it together. Heart pounding like a drum in her chest, she wondered, what secret could be buried beneath this roof? What truth was she missing? Every nerve in her body screamed for answers. She knew one thing. She couldn't ignore this. Not anymore. She had fought so hard to hold her world steady, but now something was about to change, something she might never recover from. Could she unravel it all in time? Or was this just the beginning of her unraveling? In a quiet corner of her life, Margaret Carter's world was starting to shatter. A whisper of wind rattled the window, the rain's scent mixing with the ache in her chest. Just then, she found it. The unsealed piece of paper slipped under her door. The handwriting was hurried, almost frantic. The truth about Lily's neglect. It's not what you think. Her hand trembled as she read, each word like a punch. Was she blind all along? Had she missed the signs? Everything she believed about her family, the chaos, the neglect, was maybe just a smokescreen. Or worse, a lie hiding something darker behind those closed doors. Shadows flickered in the corners of her mind. Her breath hitched. She couldn't ignore this anymore. The fragile piece she'd finally found was about to burst into something unrecognizable. Would she uncover the truth, or lose everything trying? The air thickened with secrets, and her sense of reality teetered on the edge. Margaret Carter's hand trembles as she finally reaches the front door of her house, the weight of days of chaos pressing down. The shingles are slick with rain, and the scent of wet leaves hangs heavy in the air. Her pulse quickens, her fingers gripping the doorknob with a quiet desperation. Every crack in the door feels like a crack in her resolve. She takes a breath, steeling herself for what she's about to face. Inside, the silence is thick, uncomfortable, the kind that screams. Then, suddenly, a voice. Lily's, but sharper, clearer than usual, piercing through the quiet like a knife. Margaret Carter, I know the truth about Brandon. He never really loved us. I saw him with someone. The cold air thickens. Margaret Carter's breath catches in her throat, the world tilting. Her heart pounds wildly. Was this the enemy hiding in plain sight? The trust she fought so hard to hold shatters in that instant, dawned not by betrayal from a stranger, but by the familiar face of her own daughter. Could it be? The man she married, who she believed was her protector, wasn't who she thought? The betrayal feels like a punch, rising from inside her chest, shaking her to the core. The house's warmth suddenly feels like ice. Her mind races, spiraling into questions she thought she'd buried deep. What's real? Who's hiding what? Is this the beginning of chaos? Or her salvation? The silence hangs on, until Lily's whisper replays again. Softer now, but no less shocking. He never really loved us. The unspoken truth lingering in the air, threatening to tear everything apart. Margaret Carter's hand loosens on the knob. Her eyes stare blankly at the doorframe, 1,000 thoughts crashing. Maybe her fight, her patience, her strength has been for nothing. Up until now, she's been the protector, the one holding everyone together. But what happens when everything she trusted is just an illusion? Was she ever truly in control? Or was she just blind to the enemy living among them all along? In the flickering glow of the hallway light, Margaret Carter stands like a fortress. Her hand grips a crumpled CPS letter, trembling slightly as it feels like a buzzer about to go off. Outside the house, rain taps a steady rhythm. Leaves rustle, and her chest tightens. Inside, Lily Carter's childlike laughter drifts from the bedroom. Soft, fragile, almost like a whisper of hope in a house on the verge of war. Margaret's breath catches. Was this enough? The files, the proof, the truth, all that she's fought for, do they hold? Or is this the calm before something terrible erupts? Her phone buzzes, a new caller, Unknown. She doesn't answer. Her eyes stay glued to the door, half expecting it to burst open, revealing chaos. What if they come anyway? Can she keep this house together, or is everything about to shatter? The silence stretches, thick and heavy, the weight of her decisions pressing down. Suddenly, a faint sound, Lily's laugh, echoes, but it's distant, like a promise slipping away. Her grip tightens on the letter. She's been brave before, but now, the house holds its breath, waiting, and so does she. The voicemail plays like a ghost. Brandon's voice, warped and pleading, echoes through Margaret Carter's living room. Her hand trembles as she clutches the phone, the scent of rain drifting in through the cracked window. Lily Carter sits nearby, her wide eyes fixed on her mother, sensing the storm behind her silence. Outside, wind rustles the leaves like whispers. Inside, the weight of foreclosure letters and CPS reports press down like bricks. Margaret's breath is shallow. She's held this family together with sheer will. But now, the cracks are showing. A soft knock at the door stops everything. Lily Carter's grip tightens around her stuffed cat. Margaret doesn't move. Who's out there? Another threat? Or the truth she's been avoiding? Her heart pounds. Is this the moment everything changes? Or the one where she finally breaks? They're checking on Amanda, too. Brandon got the formal notice. If the tension keeps rising, he could lose custody, at least temporarily. Amanda's mom vanished years ago. If CPS decides the home's unsafe, they'll step in. No hesitation. Then the calls started again. Not pleading anymore, just rage. "You destroyed our family," his mom screamed in a voicemail. "You blew everything up over one mistake." Brandon texted. She didn't answer, just forwarded it all to her lawyer, saved every message, every threat. Then came the second letter from the bank. One more missed payment, and foreclosure would begin. No more grace, no more time. They kept calling, texting, banging on the door, begging, threatening. She didn't open it. Lily Carter was scared. Margaret knelt beside her and whispered, "You're safe now." And Lily Carter believed her. Brandon's final voicemail? Pathetic. "You could stop this, you know. We can work it out. We're still a family." Margaret answered, voice steady. "We're not a family anymore, and I didn't destroy anything. I just stopped paying for your mistakes." It's been almost a year. That house they once moved into. Foreclosed. Gone. She wasn't even checking. Just saw the listing online. Same broken porch steps. Same faded shutters. Big red label. Foreclosure. Sold as is. Brandon's parents now rent a trailer on the edge of town. They say it's temporary. That was 6 months ago. The only thing they've rebuilt is their ability to complain. Brandon lives with them. Also temporary. As for Margaret, the case against her, closed, unsubstantiated. Every report confirmed. Lily Carter wasn't traumatized. She was finally safe. CPS gave Brandon's family a warning. Next time, there won't be one. Now they rent a small apartment, cozy, quiet, theirs. Lily Carter has her pony blanket, stickers on her closet, a room where no one tells her she's not really family. They got a cat, planted beans on the balcony. Lily Carter said, "I want them to grow like me, free." Margaret works from home, picks her up from school, and every night as the wind hums through the window and the cat curls by Lily Carter's feet, Margaret knows. She didn't just survive, she reclaimed everything. Sometimes I sit in the quiet, watching Lily Carter color in her sketchbook. Weekends, we bake cupcakes, or just wander the zoo. Just us. Honestly, that's enough. More than enough. I've wondered, what if I'd lost it? Slammed doors, shouted, thrown a fit? Maybe they'd have finally talked, hugged me, begged me to stay. Maybe Lily Carter wouldn't still be trying to earn her place, scrubbing her own happiness into existence. But I didn't scream. I didn't yell. I just stood up, walked out, and vanished from their world. The way they quietly tried to erase her from theirs. That's over now. We're okay. And the ones who thought I'd stay trapped forever? They're not pushing anymore. That's what I want to ask you. Did I go too far? Or was it the only move left? Drop your thoughts below. Hit subscribe if you want more stories like this.